What's up, guys? Welcome to our first end-to-end spotlight. This month we're featuring our new artist, Miss Ani. She's a singer, songwriter, and producer from Austria. How are you doing today?
Hello, I'm very good, thank you.
So, how long have you been in the States?
I've been here for 2.5 months now.
2.5 months?
I just have 2 weeks left,
2
unfortunately.
weeks. Well, hopefully we can get some people to hear this beautiful voice that I just got to hear.
Thank you, that would be nice.
So, what got you into music initially?
Initially, listening to different artists, and yeah, as I told you before, I started playing music at a very early age with violin, flute, and then I got into piano. And with playing the piano, I got into songwriting. And
Okay.
yeah, I started to just play around and sing.
And discovered
that's
that
how
you
I
had a
got
voice.
into it. Yeah,
That's
I
awesome.
discovered that I had a voice.
That's awesome. Well, what influenced you to start music? Was it like forced upon you? Was it like, oh, here's an instrument, learn it? Or was it something that you heard somebody singing or you heard somebody playing the instrument and you decided that's something I want to do or I want to try?
Now, I come from a quite musical family, so
Okay.
music was always a part of my family. And my dad is a drummer. He had 2 different bands, and I think that also influenced me a lot.
That's cool.
And when I was, I think, 9 or 10, on 8, the movie Sister Act came out, and that totally influenced me.
Who didn't that influence though, right?
And then I started to sing along. Yeah.
I think I've done it too. If you're gonna be somebody and you're gonna go somewhere.
Yeah,
I remember
right,
that song.
Right.
So how would you describe your particular type of music?
I would call it pop soul. All the songs that I have are kind of pop somehow,
Okay.
and my voice sounds soul-y. I would say that's how I describe my music to people.
I think that's a pretty accurate description. Coming from somebody who only heard a couple of your songs, but all 3 had definitely a pop soul feel to it. So I can definitely agree with you on that one.
Thank you.
And what kind of like helped you to produce your own music? Like how did you get into that aspect? Because singing and producing are like 2 different areas of the field.
Now, I started songwriting with like 17, 18, and I always wrote my songs on the piano.
Okay.
And when I came to Berlin 5-6 years ago, I started to work with other producers, but it always took so long, and
Okay.
it really pissed me off. And most of the time, it didn't sound right to me, but
Okay.
I couldn't really explain why. So at some point, I got really pissed and said, "Okay, I'm gonna do it myself." And I bought all the equipment and started really, really getting into it, and spent most of my days locked up in my room and working on my
That's
music.
that dedication. That's what's
Yes.
really gonna count in the end.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. What audience or like what's your targeted audience that you're looking for to kind of like relate to your music?
I think I'm not doing that consciously, but I think that the audience is like 20-25 plus.
Okay.
So more the
older, yeah.
generation.
So people with a little bit more wisdom, a little bit more experience to kind of feel what you're saying, which
Right.
is good because a lot of your songs do have depth, which is kind of lacking in today's industry, or at least in my opinion. And so like the soulful part of it is what I believe is really gonna grasp people onto you, because that's something that I feel like we're missing.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, if younger people listen to it, I'm very glad about it. So
Well, who in the industry now or even previous would you compare yourself to? Like where did you pull like your influence from?
I think it got a lot of inspiration from people like Alicia Keys. I love Robin Thicke. And also the old school artists like Stevie Wonder, Aretha Franklin.
Oh, okay.
Because I played in cover bands before where I had to sing this kind of stuff, but I really liked it. Yeah, and these days I really like Jessie J.
Okay.
Yeah, I think she is a cool artist. Or this new artist from England, Emily Sandé. You know
Emily
her?
Sandy. No, I haven't heard of her yet.
Oh, I love Adele too.
Adele?
Yeah.
Of course. But if you, what I'm noticing is like most of the artists that you've said all have that same soulful like voice that you can tell when they're singing. It's beyond listening, it's feeling.
Yeah, right.
And so that's awesome that the people who are who you've gotten your influence from, you actually kind of emulate a little bit. in your music, in your singing, which I think is great. And as I said before, and I'll say it again, you have a beautiful voice.
Thank you so.
So, you said you've been here for about 2.5 months now.
Right.
What brought you to America?
Yeah, initially it's a kind of a long story. In 2011, I attended a concert of George Clinton and Parliament Funkadelic in Berlin, and there was an after show party, and I got to know 2 guys from the band.
Okay.
And I had my music with me, like always.
As good artists always do.
Yeah, and they were really interested in what I was doing and really liked it. And then I started to work with one of the artists. He is George Clinton's grandson, Tracy Clinton. Hello,
Nice.
Tracy.
Shout outs.
He's a very good hip hop producer. And we recorded 3 or 4 tracks together. And then I wanted to record with Garrett Scheider. He's the guitar player of the band. And we wanted to really produce it in a big way with live instruments and stuff. And therefore, I came to the States in February 2012.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, there was a problem with the studio. We couldn't get in, and it was kind of very confusing.
Okay.
So it didn't work out. But then I got to know other people too. And I felt like my music gets a very good response here in the States. And so I keep working on that and try to get my music out here.
So initially it didn't work for what you came here for,
Yeah.
but you found a different area where you've been able to shine.
Right.
Well, that's always good then. Well, welcome then.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So have you done any performances since you've been here?
I've done 2 performances in DC at Columbia Station. It's more of a jazz club actually. And then I've done 3 performances in New York, in a cafe, in a smaller place called Cafe Vagabond. Then in a place in Queens, Ravenshead.
Okay.
And then in Arlene's Grocery, which is kind of known in the New York scene.
So Queens, you're talking about Queens, New York.
Yes, I'm talking about these 3 venues were all in
And
New
I'm
York.
actually a former resident of New York. I was born and raised in New York City.
Really?
So
Cool.
that's awesome. It's good to see that you stopped at my home. I miss New York.
Yeah, New York's cool. A lot of very talented people there.
Well, as you know, you're
But
not
also-
the only upcoming artist in the world.
Right.
So if you had one real, genuine piece of advice for an upcoming artist who's going through the struggle, what would you tell them?
Follow your heart, do what you love, and never give up. And don't let other people tell you what to do. You have to make compromise, of course, but you shouldn't give up yourself. And
Exactly.
don't sell your soul. I would
think
say.
that is some great advice. I think you just helped somebody out.
Cool.
So
Hopefully.
ultimately, by the end of your career, because you will have a career from what it's looking like from this side of the table.
Thank you.
What do you expect to have by the end of it? Like, what do you want to get out of this whole experience? Is it just to play music and to have people hear what you have to say? Or is it something deeper than that?
I think my message to the people is always, even though if it's love songs or so, I really want to point out that you should follow your dream no matter what it is. And just, live your life and do what you want to do. I think that's the main message I have to everybody out there.
Some life goals, right? So you do have a website that fans can come and check you out and check out some of your videos, and you have a blog, I understand. And what exactly is the website?
It's www.anywayIam.com. I spell it ANIWAYAAM.com. But you will see it in the video, right?
Yeah. So it's Anyway I Am.
Right.
Isn't that I have to comment on that because the name of your website also includes your artist name, which
Right.
is Annie, which is ANI,
Yeah.
and you collaborated it into a sentence that can mean anything, which again is incredible.
Right. And my motto is anything is possible. That's what I believe.
And I believe it's spelled with ANI.
right. That's also
awesome.
on my homepage. You can see that there.
I checked out your blog, and I enjoyed actually reading your blog because you gave some insight, and you like to keep your fans updated, and I think that's good and very important in an artist's career because you can't forget about the people who brought you to that spot. You alone are not going to get to where you have to go because you are incredibly talented. You have to have people who want to listen to you, and I think it's very nice that you give your fans the opportunity to see what you're going through and to see where you're gonna be and how you're gonna get there. And I think that's incredible.
Cool, right? That you got my intention with the blog. That's
Okay,
what I wanted
good.
to-
I'm glad I interpreted
I wanted
it
to
right.
share with the people what I'm doing, and yeah.
Well,
That's all
I think
about.
that's necessary,
Right.
especially when you're trying to break into an industry where everybody is trying to break into.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a race, but with a lot of cheaters, people pulling you back and tripping you and stuff. And I think it's very nice that you even pointed out to say, don't lose yourself,
Mm-hmm.
because this is an industry where people will take your music, the music you created, so basically your baby, and attempt to change it.
Right,
And compromise is sometimes necessary, but you don't want to lose yourself, as you said,
Right, yeah.
because it's your music. You don't want to broadcast something that you don't feel.
Right.
So
Yeah, I think that's really the main point, that you are still able to get the emotional message across. If that is lacking because you cannot stand for that, then you shouldn't do it.
wow, very good advice from a very good artist. I'm extremely excited to see if you'll bless us with some vocals, maybe a little piano playing.
Yeah, we can go inside into the
gonna be
nice
awesome.
living room.